Hi everybody, thank you for checking out this video here on G4G. Today we're taking a look at a new mobile game called Final Fantasy Mobius. This is a new offering from Square on mobile platforms, and it's kind of interesting. I feel like Square has been just churning out a lot of mobile games lately, between Record Keeper a while back, All the Bravest, which pretty much ranks as a terrible game for most people, but I had fun with it. I did go through the entire game at least once. And, of course, Brave Exvius. Now, Brave Exvius is similar to another game that is out there. They basically teamed up with the developers of it and the Brave Frontier, and just basically kind of like in a way reskinned it and used that game type, but within the Final Fantasy series. So this is pretty much unique, and I can't really say that it ties to any other mobile game that I know of, although, you know, possibly. It takes place in the Final Fantasy universes that we're all pretty familiar with. It's not really a unique one. It takes place in ones that we've been in the past. And believe it or not, one of the guys that shows up and talks you through a lot of the tutorial and sort of serves as a guide to a certain degree is actually Garland, who you may remember from Final Fantasy 1, and then shows up again, and I think it was 9. He like shows up and winds up being this weird boss at the end of the game that was just a gigantic swerve, and everybody thought it would be Kuja, and then it wasn't Kuja, and it turns out to be Garland, and you're like, what? Is it the same Garland? So, let's jump right into it over here. It's basically, you're kind of a standard RPG, except when you go into battle, you bring these cards with you that determine these abilities that you can use. You also have different jobs, and to take a look at that, you go over to Dex, and you click on job over here, and in the beginning you have 3 jobs: a standard warrior, a ranger type, and a mage. For this, I'll be using the standard warrior. You also have these cards that you slot that become your abilities to use in combat, and you want to generally slot the ones that have the same icon as your job. So the sword is for the warrior types, the staff is for the mage, and the double daggers is for the ranger class. Similar to what they are doing with certain other Final Fantasy games lately, you have the ability to forge your cards through fusion, which takes cards that you don't like or duplicates and sacrifices them into the ones that you do like. So like right now I have this fire lizard as one of my cards, and if I got duplicates or cards that I would not use, I could just fuse it into that and level it up. Under social, this is where you can do things like set your little spiel, and you could also define what card it is that you provide for rent. Basically, when you get into a battle, similar to mobile games, you have the ability to bring a friend in with you, and when you bring that friend, you bring in what is their rental card that you are offering. So you always want to try to have maybe your best card available so that you are picked a lot. You have the shop where you could get magicite, which is like the direct money conversion currency. And then you can buy your abilities and summon cards over here. You can expand your inventory and your card slots. And of course, you can restore stamina. Now, the game does give you a whole lot of elixirs that do that. The little gift box down here is your login gifts for the day. And, I mean, you do get quite a lot of them. So over here, I could go to the ability shop, and I can buy any one of these abilities over here. And you can see there's clearly going to be some jobs that I don't have yet, like this hands up one looks to be a summoner class. So I could look at these warrior ones here, since I've been sticking with warrior, decide, you know, do I want to get a 3-star Ifrit? Do I want to get a 3-star Garyon? Or Ares over here? So now these come in at 3 stars, which is pretty cool. And we will actually go ahead and take a look at what some combat is going to be like. So when you first click on a place, it tells you that you're going to fight a fire boss. So maybe you want to have cards oriented towards water. And you would probably want to bring in somebody who has ice attacks. So rather than bring in a fire person, which would be weak, I'm going to go ahead and bring in this guy, because he has ice dance. So it's a combination of Final Fantasy games past. It sort of uses the stagger break of the Final Fantasy 13 series. But you are a warrior of light from Final Fantasy 1. So when you get into combat, if you hit target view, that's who you can decide who to attack. And you can see these guys are going to produce green nature orbs, and these guys are going to produce water. So I'm just going to pick somebody. And at this point, I one-shot these guys. So the amount of times that I can attack per round is down here. That's what the 3 is. And you see up top is an almost Chrono Cross thing with elements. These are the orbs that I've generated, and they fuel the abilities over here on the side. Some of these are my cards, but then one of them is the friend that I've brought in. And if somebody dies, you could just keep clicking. You don't have to retarget or anything. So this tells you how many battles are in the entire fight. So I'm on wave 3 of 4. That's an auto battle. Now this circle is a set of buffs that use the orbs that are out there. So if I see that there's a lot of green over here, if I had green, I could choose to put up a green shield, which lessens the damage from these guys. And it locks out green orbs from being produced. So in other words, if I'm fighting a fire guy, and the map is capable of producing fire orbs and water orbs, well, in all honesty, fire orbs aren't going to help. Using fire and fire doesn't result in a lot of damage. So what you do is you put up a fire shield, which says, hey, fire orbs don't drop, and then you are more likely to get water for your abilities, which the boss will be weak against. And hopefully we will see that coming up in the next wave. These mobs take about a shot and a half. So we have a boss in this wave. So first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of the little lackeys. So you can see these are fire-based mobs, so I'm going to go ahead and produce a fire shield, which uses one of my abilities for the round. And now you'll see there's no more fire orbs up there. So I use an ability which breaks his stagger. And you'll see the resisted, that's because I have a fire shield up. He's now staggered, which means I essentially pierce through the armor and do more damage, just like the 13 series. And that's it. That's what a standard battle looks like. It plays pretty well on nice tablets. So far I've been playing this on an Asus ZenPad, which is one of the Intel chipset tablets rather than ARM, which is a standard Android tablet, and it plays pretty nice, and the graphics are definitely prettier than this over here. So my spoils of battle are 2 cards. That was Ario. That's where a friend is currently. And if I go to cards, and I go to ability cards, we will see the new one over here, which is one of these guys, a Dust Ripper. The UI for the menus and everything is a little awkward. Like, I just want to go back over here to Fusion, but I have to hit cards to do it. So I'm going to go to Fusion. I'm going to grab one of the ones that I have equipped. So I will pick the base card, which is going to be the Salamander. And I'm going to assign that dude to be sacrificed for it. So it gives experience to the card and has a chance to level up those skill seeds, those orbs that are produced and everything. And that's pretty much how the card system works. Now, you have the ability when you do your summon tickets and everything to summon cactars. Cactars are sacrificed in slightly different ways. See, and this is where you use the friend ticket. So this is what happens when people use you in battle for rental. And these summons use different summon tickets or friend tickets and your Magicite. So for example, this Cactar summon, you'll notice uses a friend ticket, but it uses 10 of them. So because I don't have 10, it offers me differences. Job summon is the ability to summon a different job. I do have the Magicite for it, and I do have the summon tickets for it. Well, actually, no, I don't. Magicite is still a little short. And then you have ability summons, which just uses the summon tickets. And of course, when you're going through the tutorial, the game feeds all of this to you. It does have cloud syncing, so you can do it over multiple devices. But I don't know if you can quite cross over. Wow, that's actually a pretty good card. Too bad I don't use my mage. You can, it syncs it up with Google Play on Android, so I'm not too sure how it will cross over from Android to iOS. Looks like we're getting a fire boss again. So I will use another ice dude. And we'll check this out. The tutorial is very hand-holdy. It's one of those tutorials that makes you click exactly where it wants you to click and nothing else. But the good thing is, right from the very beginning of installing the game, you have the chance of doing, you know, new game or continue. So if you have it loaded on a different device, you're like, okay, well now I want to play it on this, or I played it on a tablet, now I want to play it on my phone. It's not like some games that make you wade through 15 minutes of tutorial before you finally get the option to do it. It just gives it to you right then and there. Now, if the pink bar fills up, you get that Job Specifics Ultimate, which is an onion cutter for this. If you click on the pink, that's when you can heal yourself. See, I have one pink orb up there. So if I was getting a little low on hit points, I would pick pink and I would get healed from the support orbs that are out. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and protect against blue a little bit to free up some space. And you'll see I resist the ice dudes that are out on the field. So because I have some resistance up to them, I will leave them up and go for the fire guys. Or at least one of the fire guys. I think the voiceover for this guy might be Johnny Young Bosch, aka Ichigo from Bleach. Not particularly sure. This mob likes to drain the shield that you put up with that ability, so I always wait until he does it, then put out the shield. He's basically a mini boss. He's not the boss of this combat, but he's just a slightly harder mob. Now that he's broken, I do more damage on my attacks, and of course he's stunned. So going into this final round, I've lost a little bit of hit points, so the first thing I'm going to do is use my support. And since he's a fire type, I'm going to go ahead and protect against fire. So now when I hit him, I actually generate a little bit more of the water orb types. And since he's broken, we'll hit him with an ice, which just obliterates him. So the cards that I have with me gain experience, as does my actual player level. And I picked up 2 cards in that. So I got 3 ability tickets from that. So the game does a pretty good job of throwing you tickets. And here's Mog the Moogle. He wants... the story is basically you wake up sort of like nameless and with no memory and everything in this area. And the guys just basically start telling you this is where blanks or clones go. And only the best clones eventually become warriors of light. God, I don't actually know what he asked me. There's your stamina, typical of mobile games. It's, you know, how many times you can actually play items on the map is that. But when you level up, your stamina does get restored. And this one seems to be a big red dragon at the end of it. So, we'll just go ahead and wrap up the video here after we take a look at that new card that I got. So that was one of them. And a Dust Mage. So, there is a look at Final Fantasy Mobius. It's pretty good. I can't really say yet if this is a greedy game or not. It doesn't seem to be so far, but I can maybe see that eventually some good summons might become pretty obnoxious to get with the amount of summon tickets and all that we got. But give it a shot. It is free to play. It is at least on Android, and I do believe iOS, although I don't know if there is any cross-syncing between the 2 platforms yet. Thanks a lot, folks. Take care.